What is up? What is up, awesome people of the internet? Guys, we got to have a talk. All right? We got to have a talk. We got to talk about respectability. We got to talk about what it means to be a fan. We got to talk about the toxic nature of sports sometimes and how the influx of new folks, new fans, has been a boon to the WNBA on a positive side, right? We've seen numbers for WNBA teams skyrocket in terms of attendance. We've seen merch skyrocket. We've seen lots of positives, records all the time in terms of attendance and in terms of broadcast viewers and all that good stuff. We've seen a lot of fantastic stuff around women's basketball, specifically the WNBA this year. But also, we have seen it come with a lot of cons as well. And one of those cons is with the increased attention on WNBA teams and WNBA players, we also see a influx of hateful comments about players. We see a lot of stuff that has nothing to do with basketball that's spewed at players. And because the WNBA is such a small place to start off with, when you have that influx of negativity and hate and whatnot, the players see it in a way where NBA players don't, in a way where NFL players don't, right? There is a certain level of smallness, sort of small town feel to the WNBA. That way, when others come in and start to spew stuff, the players, they don't know how to handle it. One, because they never had to deal with it, and number two, it just doesn't feel good. It just doesn't feel good to be on the receiving end of it, especially if you've never experienced it before this year. And I want to go into, I want to play video. I want to play video of what was said in yesterday's press conference, because this sort of came to light in yesterday's press conference with the post-game press conference with Dana Evans and Isabelle Harrison. And I'm gonna share the video. It's in two parts, and then we're gonna talk about it. Okay. So first, without further ado, let's get into specifically what Dana Evans and Isabelle Harrison had to say.
This year.
A roller coaster, just like for
The team and yourself, if you care to.
I mean, both, honestly. For me personally, it was a roller coaster ride. I mean, I went from starting to playing to not getting in the game. So it's hard, right? And it's just like, you just got to be better, I guess. Come back 10 times better and even harder and ready to compete again next year. And for the team, I feel like we went through so much. I mean, injury after injury, people getting sick. That's no excuse, but it was hard. It was a rough season just all around, just with the health and everything like that. It was a lot of stuff that we couldn't even focus on basketball. Like we were having to take care of stuff outside of basketball, which is a big distraction. This league is way too good. If you're not focusing on the main thing, you're not gonna win many games in this league.
This is your first time being part of the Sky, not making the postseason. I'm curious, like, what the lesson you're now seeing is in that. And maybe it's too early to say what that is, but
As far as
the takeaway, I mean, you were part of teams again that made the postseason. You're maybe not playing as much, but you're still in it. You're still gaining experience and those lessons there. Now you're not. I'm curious what the takeaway for you is now.
I mean, I feel like the takeaway is to just be better. I feel like all around. I don't know. I don't know. Truly, I don't. It was a lot this year, so I don't really know what the takeaway was. Truly, being honest.
What was the outside of basketball?
So that was about the first sort of half of commentary. The first half of commentary was, them just sort of, again, they just lost. The season's over. They're reflecting. They're sort of processing as time was going on, and they sort of hinted to outside noises, and we're going to get into more specifics about what those outside noises are, sort of in this sort of next half of the clip.
Basketball stuff you referenced that you or the team?
I would just say a lot of noise. I feel like now we're more prepared. I feel like overall for the WNBA, like we had more eyes, we had more attention, we had a lot of stuff going on that we weren't all used to, right? So it was new for everybody, not just us, but I was just speaking obviously for us, that it was just a lot of outside noise, where now I feel like we're used to that. We know how to handle that. We don't want to cause anything to distract us. We don't need any distractions on top of just not causing stuff in the locker room. I feel like sometimes you can read tweets and you can read stuff, and that can affect people in the locker room. And just keeping that out, just making sure we stay together as a whole, and we know we got each other's back, and just staying together, I feel like was a lesson for this whole league this year.
Agreed.
Both of you can speak to this. That's an interesting thing. I don't think it's something I've quite heard a player articulate so far this year. With all the new attention, maybe that's not the right way to put it, but
no, I get what you're saying.
How did you guys experience that? What was the sort of content of it? Like, what was the feeling like? What were you reading, seeing, hearing?
I mean, I'm gonna be honest, it was tough. I mean, Izzy, I know you can attest to that too. It was really tough. I mean, we're professionals. We know that we can play this game. I mean, but when you got people that's steady bashing you, that's supposed to be our supporters, I feel like that was a little slap in the face, and that was hard to kind of deal with. But
it was disgusting.
It was really disgusting. But I always say God does not make mistakes, and I feel like this season really challenged my mental to another level, and I feel like I'm going to be so much better next season, just mentally prepared for everything. And I know, Izzy, you kind of feel that way too.
I've never experienced this amount of hate and harassment this entire season. I get emotional about it because I know Dana went through the same, but it's hard because it should have never been like that. And to go and just want to play basketball every day, and you have people constantly, and if it's online, it's online, but like you now get tagged in it, and I'm constantly having to block people, and just people making narratives up about you. It's hurtful.
It is.
And it's hard to just focus on basketball. And I appreciate the new eyes, but if it comes with hate and bigotry and racism, and even people that look like me bashing you, you can keep it offline, because it's so hurtful, and you don't know how that affects people. So I think that's just something that a lot of new fans need to be mindful of, and we don't want that to carry into the locker room. And
exactly. And to piggyback on that is, I must say, especially for the people that support the Sky, if you're going to support the Sky, you know what I'm saying? I feel like that was a big issue, and it messes with your mental. I don't care how good you are or what's going on. You're going to see stuff, you're going to read stuff, but it made you a lot better. It made us a lot stronger up here, and we'll be better next year.
You learn from it, you grow from it, you just stay away from it, because it's like, I'm not going to attach that to my name, but there was just so many times that was just a factor, and it shouldn't have been, and it's just disappointing that was the case.
What do you put that down to? Where is it coming from? Where is it originating, and why?
The internet is
the internet, and honestly, like she was saying, a lot of our fans were doing that, and it's hard because you just try to stay away from it. And Spoon attested to it so much. Just get off of it. And even when you're off it, it still happens. So there's times I wouldn't even look at my social media. And that's just such a crazy place to be, because I get so much support from it as well. But when there's so much negativity, you have a job to do, obviously you stay off of it. And it's just like people just run and go with narratives, and it's just so detrimental to a team's success. You just have to block it out. And like we said, continue to do a job, but it's hard when it's like every single day.
A lot of people say this is the cost of reaching the same level as like the NBA, let's say, as your counterparts. But I think what doesn't get factored in is the level of harassment like women receive is very different than
Yes,
men.
especially black women.
Absolutely.
Especially
You
black
guys-
women.
Yeah, if you guys can speak to that difference.
It's just never allowed. I don't care what we're doing. And we had an incident obviously with Kathy, and she had to address like the racial tones that was coming this season. I don't care what we do. It's never okay to spew hate and bigotry and just hate towards players, no matter if it's social media or in person, because it's just detrimental, and it's hard for people's mental health, and it's just a lot to control.
Yeah. It took a toll. I feel like that took a toll on our team. And I feel like we tried our best to like not let that shake us. But you're reading stuff and people say you don't pass this, you don't do that. So you're thinking that regardless of if you don't want to, like regardless. And I feel like that it didn't help our team. I mean, and also that we were a young team that didn't help. But like I said, I feel like this is a lesson, and I feel like this is something that's gonna grow. We're gonna grow from this. We come out better regardless. Mentally, you're gonna be better. You're not gonna let those things get to you. But I wish I could say stop doing it and we don't want it to happen, but they will. But it's just something we learn from. And as a league, like I said, this is the first year where it was like this with everybody. It was a lot of hate, but we'll be better from it. That's all I'll say.
Any last questions for players?
All right, guys. That was what was said at the post-game presser yesterday. And I want to talk about it. I want to talk about what they said. I want to talk about some takeaways. And I just want to talk to us fans as a whole. So part of the issue again is that Sky players, WNBA players at large, they're not used to the amount of attention that they have gotten this year. The amount of commentary that Dana Evans has gotten and Isabelle Harrison has gotten about their game, about what's happening, personal attacks towards them, they have never experienced this, guys. We are in a new era of women's sports. We're in a new era of the WNBA where these players, they could have terrible games. And a couple people talk about it, but it's not a big deal. In the past, Dana Evans could have a bad game. Isabelle Harrison can have a bad game and go on social media right after and scroll and not really see much, right? The town square for the WNBA was very, very small. So you could have bad games, you could have stuff going on. And yeah, maybe a couple people will talk about it, but not a lot, but very, very maybe 5 people talk about it. It's not a big thing. It's small. But this year, with the influx of college basketball fans who have came in, right? With the attention that Caitlin Clark, Angel Reese, Cameron Brink, and others have gotten, their fan base has come on board, right? That fan base, and then also other fan bases as well. And these people are paying attention. They are paying attention and they are blowing stuff up. And ultimately, for WNBA players as a whole, and now guys, this is the Chicago Sky talking in this one, and at times they were specifically calling out Sky fans and whatnot. But this is a WNBA thing as a whole. This is a thing. WNBA players need to be media trained, social media trained. They do. This is a thing that NBA players have gotten before, right? Men's college basketball players, even men's high school players, NBA players, they all receive way more negative attention and hateful comments and all this other stuff than WNBA players. Way more. Even high school boys basketball gets more for the most part, they get more than the average WNBA player gets on social media. But WNBA players, women athletes are not used to this, with maybe the exception of tennis players and gymnasts. That, like, you know, that's about it. And probably now, for our small stint, it was women's soccer players who kind of got that as well. This is growing pains for the WNBA. That's what this is. That's what I chalk this up to. Yes, people should be better. Absolutely. But the WNBA, Kathy Engelbert, the powers that be in the league office, needs to invest in media training, because that's what the guys get. That's what the guys get. They get way more hate than WNBA players will, the average WNBA player will ever get. Of course, Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese do get a disproportionate amount of that, but other players do as well. And it's important for them to expect it. And they kind of said that in the post game interview, is that they now know, like, they were caught off guard. The Chicago Sky locker room was caught off guard with the amount of attention that they got this year. And they were caught off guard with the way that things automatically went personal quickly. So when we talk about criticism of players, not a big deal, right? Players get criticized all the time. Oh, you played a bad game. You had a bad game. You need to do XYZ, XYZ, XYZ. Not a problem. Now again, guys, that's what I do on this channel. Like, I am not everything's honky dory with the Chicago Sky and with the WNBA and whatnot. I talk about issues that I see. I talk about ways for improvement. I talk about stuff. Like, guys, you all have heard me this year multiple times talk about Dana Evans and while I do think she's a fantastic player, she is a bad passer. And she should prioritize just shooting that ball. Instead of being a point guard, she should be a shooting guard. I have said that countless of times. That's not an issue. That's not a big deal. Providing constructive criticism and whatnot is not a problem. Isabelle Harrison, she just got back from being injured all last year, and she's a player that I talked about her sort of consistency with her jumper. She's a good player, but sometimes her jumper just isn't falling, and that sort of hurts her overall game for that particular game. It's not an issue. It is not an issue, sort of criticizing players, but I think there has been a large amount of extracurricular stuff that's been talked about that players just aren't used to, and it's not cool. Like, I've heard some stuff supposedly that was said towards players that had nothing to do with basketball. Like, maybe like the impetus of it was basketball, but then it like swerved over to like very, very personal stuff and accusations and all this other stuff. And that's not cool. Like, that's not cool. But at the same time, that's sports. Like, that is sports, ladies and gentlemen. That's sports. So it's one of those things that unfortunately you got to take the good with the bad. You got to take the good with the bad. Shay, thank you so much for the super chat. Says, Quita, half of the people in this chat is what they are talking about. Just awful, hateful, not constructive criticism. Yeah. I mean, and that's we're gonna get that. And personally, I want to address it and whatnot, but at the same time, this is basketball, guys. Like, this is a little bit more of a taste of what men's basketball players have been getting for years. All right? You literally have had people for years call LeBron LeBum. Talk about Draymond Green like a dog. Talk about the Chicago Bulls. Like, Chicago Bulls fans have talked a whole bunch of trash about the Chicago Bulls. And it's not really talked about that much in men's sports because they're used to it, right? But WNBA players are not used to it, regardless of if it's okay or not. Because there is some stuff. There is some stuff that that is very toxic about men's fans, men's sports fans, right? But there's a level of this doesn't matter that exists in men's sports, and it doesn't in women's sports, because women just haven't experienced it. Like this was not a thing for the WNBA. Like guys, literally, there could be terrible games left and right, and nobody would bat an eye and say that much about it. Like, it wasn't a big deal. But now, because of betting, because of fan bases and whatnot, like it causes a lot of commentary. And while you can just say, players, toughen up, stop being so sensitive, stop crying. It is what it is. While you can say that, and that perspective is valid in my opinion. It's also, guys, you have to remember that these people are human. These people are human and they deal with a lot of emotions, and it takes a toll. Like Dana said, it takes a toll on your mind. When, after a game, you hop on social media because you enjoy social media, and then you see, yes, you see criticisms of how you played in that game, but you also see, that's why you going to China, pack your bags, you are terrible, learn to speak another language because you ain't gonna be in the WNBA this year, and you see all this stuff, and it's like, what, guys? I tried my best. Yes, I messed up, and yes, give feedback and commentary and whatnot. But to be in my DMs saying all this crazy stuff that has nothing to do with basketball, to be in my mentions, to tag me constantly about making fun of me and saying all this other stuff, like, especially with people with the Chicago Sky in their profile picture, with the Chicago Sky in their sort of profile description, for these to be from at least Izzy and Dana's perspective, Sky fans who are saying this type of stuff, they're taking it and they're like, man, what? Are you really a Sky fan? Like, you are really, really tearing this team down. Are you really a Sky fan? And I think, yeah, I think it's all valid. Like, I understand what the players are saying. I think they have every right to say it. Y'all can call them whatever y'all want to call them and make fun of them and whatever. But it is what it is. It is what it is. I think it's one of those things where we're in a new day. Players have to realize it. The league has to realize it, and everybody has to be prepared for it. Okay? Because if you're prepared for it, it is easier for you to handle. Donna says you either get tough skin or stay off the internet. And ultimately, that's what it is. Ultimately, Donna, you are absolutely right. Because this stuff is not going away. It's not going away at all. And guys, if y'all hit that like button, that would be really, really awesome. It's not going away. The voices that are talking about women's basketball, it's not going away, in my opinion. This will be here for forever, basically, and it's going to get a lot worse. All right, new fans. There's been a lot of new fans that have been really, really tough on these players, because fans are fans, right? We don't we expect fans to be a little bit crazy, to be a little bit wild in what they say, right? But again, this is something that the WNBA has not really experienced. We are this is a new day. I feel like I keep saying it, but it's true. This is not the WNBA of 3 years ago when all the only criticism, for the most part, the main criticism that players would hear would be in the stands of like, oh, you had a bad game as they're going to the locker room or whatever, or get better, come on. Like, you'll hear your fans in the arena sort of screaming stuff, but it wasn't much on social media. And it's still, and guys, I don't want this to be blown out of proportion, but it's still not that much hate and negativity and all that stuff in comparison to other sports. It's still not that much. And so it makes me be like, man, if this is messing with y'all like this, we got to do something different in the WNBA. We got to, because players they're not going to survive if this is too much and they don't undergo serious media training. If there aren't sports psychologists, right, that are employed by the WNBA, like, they gotta do something, because this noise and whatnot is not going to stop. It's going to get worse. And guys, we haven't even scratched the surface of it. Like, yes, we have an influx of new fans, but like, we also have a huge amount of like college ballers that are still about to come in the WNBA. This isn't going away. This is going to get worse. So you either have to get smart, get prepared now, get ready for it, put filters in place and whatever, have player psychologists who can work with these players, not just in terms of like breaking through barriers on the basketball court, but also making sure their mind is right to even step on a basketball court, with what they see online. Like, it's a thing. It is a thing, and you gotta be prepared for it, and you have to make it a priority. Coach Kim says all teams need access to media training psychologists and honestly, some life coaches as well. Yes, guys, absolutely. And this is something that men's players have had, and they've that sort of helped them. The WNBA needs other resources. All right. So they can do what Annie says, adjust. Yes, Annie. Yes. They need to adjust. They do. They need to adjust. All right. This is not your, 2021 WNBA league, right? This is not. We're in a new day. It's a new dawn. It's a new day. And WNBA players are not feeling so good about it all the time. There's growing pains. There are issues, but it's fine. Ultimately, this is great for the WNBA. Ultimately, the WNBA will be in a great place as a result of this, because fans come in all shapes and sizes. There are fans who focus on constructive criticism. There are fans that if you do something they don't like, they will tear you down. It is what it is. It's not right. Yeah, sure. People have said some horrible stuff. I have seen it with my own two eyes. The stuff that was said about Diamond DeShields and about how people literally were wishing that she was dead and that her tumor came back. It's stuff that has been talked about this year that has nothing to do with basketball. But this is the internet. Welcome to the internet, WNBA. Welcome to the internet, Sky players. This is what happens on the internet. It sucks. It's not good. But this is the future. So ultimately, you got to adjust. The WNBA, Sky, front office, you need to do more to support these players. You need to hire psychologists for these players. You need to hire, media trained, like people who train NBA players in terms of media awareness, and like how journalists even try to trip you up, how people online will try to trip you up and say all this stuff, and how you need to stop reacting to it. You need to stop reacting to it, because once people see you react to the negativity, oh, they about to dogpile now. And guys, it's funny that it's not funny, but it's interesting that after this was said, all on social media, you saw people up in the ante about some of the stuff they were saying about her, about these players. Oh, y'all suck. Y'all some wimps. Oh, y'all need to just go overseas and blah 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 blah. So once people see you react to what their foolishness, oh, they keeping it going. They keeping it going because they're like, oh, I got you. You paying attention to me. I got you. And so it is what it is. It's not good. It's not, and absolutely stop fans who are people who are doing that. It's fine. Talk about basketball. If you have criticism about how Dana Evans is playing, talk about it. No issues with that. If you have criticism about how Izzy is playing, talk about it. No problem with that. But when you start to make stuff personal, when you start to have personal attacks on players and who they are as people, and making fun of them in a way that's way further than basketball, that's a problem. But at the same time, fans are not going to stop doing that. They've been doing that for forever. And there's people who are like very internet focused, who would never say this to actual people in real life. But on social media, people are big and bad, and they want to talk all this stuff. But in real life, they wouldn't keep that same energy. That's the internet. Welcome to the internet in 2024. It is what it is, and you need to be prepared for it. Shanita, thank you so much for the super chat, says, do you think it will keep some players from wanting to play in the league? I do. Possibly, because players do get, equal, if not more, salary playing overseas. So possibly we'll see players be like, you know what, this ain't worth it, because when I play in Europe, I get paid more money than I do in the WNBA, and I don't have to deal with nothing on social media, because from what it seems, the European fan base and whatnot is not they not as interesting as American fans, and so they don't have to deal with. Dana can go overseas and play for Besiktas, and she's really good. And that's why I think Dana Evans does have a real future in the WNBA. She can go overseas and play for Besiktas and not have to deal with a tenth of the attention that she got this year. And she's getting paid equal, if not a little bit more money. So that's a thing. Faye says they say it to Russell Westbrook all the time in real life. They do. Yes. Guys, Russell Westbrook, the stuff that I have seen fans say to Russell Westbrook in real life at games and whatnot, and on the internet is wild. And guys, Russell Westbrook has gotten way more hate and negative attention than WNBA players. Way more. So as I said, it's a new dawn, it's a new day. WNBA players got to get used to it. You got to, because everybody is not everybody's not your friend. Everybody's not going to sort of be everybody's not going to treat you the way that you want to be treated, right? Everybody's not going to be like, oh no, that's Dana. She's trying real hard. No, they're going to make fun of you. They're going to be like, oh, look at that. You tried to throw a pass and it hit the backboard. Oh, you suck and all this. Like they're going to do that. They're going to, when you have a bad game, post the highlight reel of all the terrible stuff that you did in that game and laugh at it. They're going to do that. This is social media, guys. This is social media. And again, I am not saying that this is okay. I'm not. I don't think it is. But I live in reality. And it's about time that the WNBA does too. You got to live in reality and acknowledge what exists right now. Acknowledge what exists. Zola says, round of applause to LSU for media training, for training Angel with media. Yeah. Y'all, Angel's very good. Very, very good. Of course stuff gets to Angel as well, but like I feel like of all the players in the WNBA, the people who were most prepared for this moment right now, Angel Reese, Caitlin Clark, Diana Taurasi. Right? Those players were pretty prepared for it. They were pretty, in my opinion, sort of prepared for what was going on. They're prepared for where we are in the WNBA because they've experienced a lot, and so yeah. But guys, social media is not real. It's not. Most of the time, people say stuff about you on social media they would never say it in real life. Never, ever, ever say it in real life. All right. So that's the thing that you just, it is what it is. You have to understand that this is not real life. Yes, it will get to you. Yes, it's not cool, but people do whatever they want to do, and people say whatever they want to say. And if you react to it, they are more likely to up the ante and do it a whole lot more. This is where we are. So ultimately, it sort of is what it is. Guys, I don't think it's that it's not going to change, guys. It's not going to change. This will be here for the remainder of forever, basically. This is not going away. It is what it is, guys. Social media is not real. The stuff that people say about you on social media and whatnot, yes, it's hurtful. Yes, it sucks and all this other stuff. But at the end of the day, these people don't know you. They don't necessarily care about knowing you. They just want to say their piece. And if it offends you, if it makes you really mad, they will enjoy it, guys. A thing that I have learned just about being on social media for a decent amount of time, and especially since starting this YouTube channel, people say terrible stuff. People say horrible stuff. And I gotta not take it personally. Even if it is personal, even if it's not about, a take that I had that they thought was wrong, but like people saying all this stuff and accusing you of all this stuff personally, and you're like, wait, what? What? Why would you say that? There's a Russell Westbrook meme. It's like, what? Why would you say that? Like, and that's my response to people sometimes. Like, what? and that's even a smaller amount of what these players get. But like, if you're on the internet, if you have a take, if you are just existing, there will be people saying whatever they want to say, and it's important for you not to take it so seriously. I just think it's a thing, and it's the casualty of being on the internet. The internet's awesome. The internet is fantastic, but it also has a lot of negatives too. It also does. Thank you so much to Imperk for the super chat. Says, go private on social media, only family and friends. Yes, but I don't think that's advice that the WNBA players can take, because if you look at a lot of athletes nowadays, a lot of athletes, they actually make a lot of money off of social media. They have endorsement deals. And so they need to actually have a bigger presence on social. They need to post often. They need to continue to grow their social presence, because that is a way, that is a platform, a product that they can make money off of. So it's a necessary evil. So they can't just get off, because if they do, the little amount of endorsement deals that WNBA players do get, that will dry up. That will dry up. And so that's a thing. That's a thing that we should that's the thing that we should talk about. Right? So that's my sort of thoughts right there. I wanted to just talk through this because it's a thing. It's a thing, and I think it's important for us to talk about it. I think it's important for us to acknowledge what's happening, but I also think it's important for us to, one, say not cool people who are like going above and beyond talking about basketball and talking about other stuff. And two, it's to say, players, welcome to the modern age. Welcome to 2024. This will not get better. This will get worse. It doesn't matter what you say. If you say something about it, it's probably going to get even worse for a hot second and then go back to the default, which is not great. This is what it is. I've also seen a lot of people online yesterday sort of talk about like, oh, blame Angel Reese. She's the problem. Blame her fans and whatnot. And yes, I'm sure there is a sub segment of fans who maybe have Angel in their profile pic or bio or whatever. That's been some of the people who've been talking trash and whatnot. But like, this isn't Angel's fault, guys. This isn't Caitlin Clark's fault. It's not. This is the human condition. Humans suck. Myself included. We say terrible stuff. We do terrible stuff. We treat people off like horribly. But yet, a lot of times we don't think it's that big of a deal. It is, but you're not going to change people. Not really. You could try, but like it's probably not gonna work. It is to an extent, unless they are receptible and open to actually changing and whatnot. I don't know, guys. It is what it is. Like, it's a new day, guys. It's a new day. It's a new day. Photography says these players have never had to deal with real coverage and attention before. This is what every player in major sports leagues have to deal with. Get used to it because this is the way it is. Yes. Photography. Yes. You are absolutely right. Yeah. You are I completely agree with your statement. Yeah. WNBA players have never had to deal with They had some coverage, but like, you know, before 2 years ago, the Sky had one reporter who actually covered the team. And that was Annie Constable for the Sun-Times. Right? Now you still got the Sun-Times covering it. Now you got the Tribune that has a has a dedicated reporter. You have the TV outlets who sometimes swoop in to cover something, usually something either like milestone-y or controversial. You have a lot of people who want to make money off of the WNBA, starting to cover it too, and they have wild takes. There is a lot more attention. There was a lot less questions asked in post game pressers and whatnot. There were a lot less questions because I've been watching the Sky for forever. I've watched a lot of press conferences over the years. There's way more questions now than there really has ever been. Besides the year that like when Candace Parker first came to the Sky, there was a lot of press then, and then it died down. And then after they won the championship, it was a lot of press, and then it died down again. We've seen consistently way more questions asked in post-game pressers than we have in the past for all teams. There is a extra level of attention that these players are getting, and they got to be careful. You got to be careful how you answer questions because maybe they may be worded in certain ways, right? You have to be careful about what you see on social media because that may affect your ability to play the game. You got to have tunnel vision, man. Yeah, do your stuff on social media, be active and whatnot, get those endorsement deals, post and whatnot, share your life and whatever, but maybe you should have an intermediary. Maybe you actually shouldn't be actually touching the social media. Maybe you should go through somebody else. Somebody from your camp should be posting all this stuff on social media. Maybe you just shouldn't see it. Because some people just aren't built for social media. Some people just aren't. Some people are not built for it, and that's okay. All right. So Dana's thoughts and commentary is valid. Izzy's thoughts and commentary is valid. It sort of is what it is. Shelly says that's why Angel got her manager handling her social media. Oh, I didn't know that. But if that's true, that's awesome. Yeah, I think more people should probably do that. Like you don't need to be seeing everything people be sending you. You don't need to be seeing that. Dave, I would say fast forward to or rewind to the earlier part of the stream. I played a post game video from yesterday's post game press conference with Dana Evans and Isabelle Harrison, and they were talking about the toll that the season has taken on them and how they've never experienced so much hate and vitriol that they have this season, and that and they specifically called out Sky fans twice. They specifically called out people who consider themselves Sky fans twice, and so that's what we're talking about in this stream. But I'm also just sort of talking about fans in general, guys. It is what it is. Dana specifically, a specific quote that she said during this press conference is she said, "When you got people that steady bash you, that's supposed to be our supporters. I feel like it was a slap in the face. That was hard to kind of deal with. The season really challenged my mental on another level, and I feel like I'm going to be so much better next season mentally." And I'm happy to hear that. I'm happy to hear that she is going to be more prepared next season. But I hate the fact that she feels the way that she does. It sucks. It sucks. Izzy said, "I never experienced this amount of hate and harassment from this entire season." She says, I know Dana went through the same thing, and it's hard because it should have never been like that. Yeah, it should have never been like that. But it's happening. It sucks. It's not cool. It's not. And guys, you all hear me say this all the time. You all hear me say this. At the end of a lot of my streams, I say, be kind to someone, be respectful, tell somebody that they matter because they do. And if no one's told you, you matter, let me tell you, you matter. There is a level of vitriol. There is a level of hatred. There is a level of, you are not like me. You are not deserving of respect that we see. And that's in large. That has nothing to do with sports in particular. That is where we are. That is where we are in our human existence. And truly, this won't change unless, in my opinion, people turn to Jesus. Literally, this won't change. This will continue to get worse. That is the only solution to this horrible human condition that we live in. Literally, that's the only solution. So it is what it is. Like we will continue to see this stuff happen. So yeah, I don't know, guys. That's the stream. That's the stream. There is only one real hope for humanity, for us to get it together. There is only one real hope, and everything else is terrible imitations. So that's my thoughts right there, guys. I don't know what else to say. I really don't. I really don't know what else to say. Yeah. I really don't know what else to say. Kelly says trolls are not fans. The bigger you get, the more trolls and fans. Players, please don't read social media comments, especially on X. Matter of fact, get off of X or have someone post for you. Yeah. Yeah. Let's see. Anything else? Pyrel says, Quita, are you ignoring the comments relating to Angel Reese? Seems the contrary to what you are saying. No. I feel like I talked about Angel Reese and her fan, or some of her fans. Angel is probably responsible for, in my opinion, probably close to 80 to 90% of new Sky fans. Okay, maybe 80%, 70 to 80% of new Sky fans. And some of those fans love to tear down other players to benefit Angel Reese. Is that the majority of Angel Reese fans? No. Just like it's not a majority of Caitlin Clark fans who are being terrible to WNBA players, right? It's not the majority of those fans. There is a subset, but because the fan base is so large, it feels like a huge amount. I'm not here to bash players. Solo says Pyro wants you to bash Angel. I'm not gonna bash Angel because I feel like Angel Reese has done her part of telling fans to stop it. Angel Reese has talked about bullying on social media. She's talked about how certain stuff is not acceptable. She has done videos on social media where she's talking about something else, but then she starts to talk about the negativity and whatnot. She She doesn't like when fans go at her teammates. She's like, leave them alone. She's talked about it. So I don't know what else there is for her to do. Like, I don't know what else there is for her to do. Some small subset of fans are causing this issue. They are taking it beyond basketball and moving it to other stuff. They are. Now, the same way that I don't blame Caitlyn at all for what some people who claim to be her fans do, that is the same way that I am with Angel Reese. If they have publicly said that's not cool, I don't support it and whatnot, and if they fans still want to do it, it is what it is. What else? What more can they do? What more can they do? In my opinion. But maybe y'all would disagree with me, and that's fine. Let me know in the comments why I am wrong or whatever. But anyway, I do appreciate y'all so much for rocking with me. Thank y'all for joining. Yeah, I don't really have anything else to say. Be kind to people. Criticize the play on the court. Not a problem. I do it all the time. Criticize play on the court. Give constructive feedback when you can. But remember that the people on the other side of your comment is a human being just like you. They have emotions, they have thoughts, they have feelings. Yes, they may be getting paid way more money than you, but nonetheless, they're a human being. And you got to treat people the way you want to be treated, right? That's what you got to do. That's what you got to do. Love your neighbor as yourself. Would you say this to yourself? When you about to use your Twitter fingers or your YouTube fingers and spew a bunch of crazy stuff in this chat and comments and whatnot, think about it. Oh, there's somebody about to read this. Man. Do I really want to say certain stuff? Think about it, and then act accordingly, and maybe you're fine with it. Maybe you're fine with it. Tim says, "Chicago cry, Chicago cry." I've been saying that quite a bit. I feel like it started with the Atlanta Dream who changed Sky for Cry after the Sky lost to the Atlanta Dream two games ago. They used Kennedy Carter's face, and then for the Sky logo, they did Cry instead of Sky, which I thought was very, very clever. Like, I thought it was very, very clever. They ended up taking down the post because it was in poor taste. However, that's what social media admin accounts do. Ultimately, I didn't think it was that big of a deal, but it was in poor taste because of the way that Kennedy's tenure with Atlanta went, and the fact that she didn't even play to use her face. Like, I get that, but at the same time, this is what social media sports accounts do, and I thought it was clever. I'm surprised they took it down, to be honest with you. I'm pretty surprised. But yeah, so I feel like ever since a couple of days ago when I saw the Atlanta Dream do that cry thing, I see a lot of people saying Chicago cry, and whatever. Yeah, so that's the thing. All right, guys, I have nothing else to say. I will see y'all in the next one. Again, as always, guys, be kind to people, be respectful to people. Know that there is a real human on the other side of every single thing you say. All right? Every single thing you say, there is a human being on the other side of that will be taking that in, that they will carry maybe for the rest of their day, maybe for the rest of their life. Your words have power. They are extremely, extremely impactful. And I would ask you, choose your words wisely. Make decisions with the future in mind. Remember, these are real people. This is not a video game. This is not a simulation. We are not in The Sims. This is all real. Real people, real life, real emotions, and ultimately a real God. So ultimately, guys, be mindful of that. And truly, guys, go to the real source of peace. Go to the real source of love. Go to the real source of justice. Because humans are crazy, myself included. We suck. But there is one who is awesome that will help us all. So anyway, I don't know. I'm rambling, but I will see y'all in the next one. Be kind to people. Guys, I love you. I really do. I truly mean that. But there is someone who loves you way more than me. Way more than anyone can ever love. And that is God. That is Jesus. So talk to him. Enjoy. See y'all in the next one. Bye-bye.